that's considered the marketing savior for the sport.
So many people were also painting her out to be the problem. She could never do enough. She could never speak out enough.
WNBA players are upset over Caitlin Clark's lucrative offer from a European team, feeling entitled to bigger contracts themselves. Many believe they deserve more, citing their longer tenure in the league compared to the rookie sensation.
Game is physical. Caitlin is helping to grow the league. These women understand that, but she cannot be babied as a rookie. That's all I'm at.
Caitlin Clark's move abroad could spell disaster for the WNBA. As the highest paid player globally, she'll finally get the respect she deserves in a league that values her talent, free from players wishing for her downfall.
Here's the reality. It wasn't what it is. The quality of basketball may have been up to snuff, and you had somebody as popular as Cheryl Swoops who had her own signature shoe, had to deal with Nike and all of this other stuff. But the bottom line is, very few people gave a damn.
Why would Caitlin Clark stay in a league where even her own teammates turn against her? Following the news, NaLyssa Smith was seen laughing with DJ Carrington about the viral eye poke incident, highlighting the lack of support Clark faces.
Ow! Oh, I'm sorry. You poked me in the eye. You're a You're 8-year-old. You did? I did not poke you. Did you do it on purpose? I did not poke you in the eye. Did you do it on purpose?
Caitlin Clark's own teammate, NaLyssa Smith, was caught laughing while DJ Carrington mimicked Caitlin, saying, "Did you do it on purpose?" Shockingly, Smith didn't stand up for Clark, leaving her isolated even within her own team during this viral mockery.
People are sitting there like, well, hold on, man. This woman is booed up with the girl that poked Caitlin Clark in the eye. They're making videos making fun of Caitlin Clark in the eye poke. What is the Indiana Fever doing?
Caitlin's team hasn't supported her, instead posting NaLyssa Smith's season highlights, showing no signs of backing Clark. Caitlin now has an even bigger reason to leave. Opposition players clearly don't want her in the WNBA, and even her own teammates are mocking her. She should accept the EuroLeague offer, leaving the WNBA desperate and begging for her return once they realize what they've lost.
I wonder if Caitlin, in every post-game press conference, she came out and talked about the kind of hateful comments that she was getting. If she came out and told everybody the reason why she has personal security that goes with her every single place, it's a lot. And so it's not just Caitlin Clark fans or Indiana Fever fans. It is not all going in one direction.
Caitlin Clark's contract with a European team isn't just another move. It's a glaring sign of the disparities in opportunities between certain WNBA players and those commanding attention overseas. So why does this move stir such strong emotions within the league? Caitlin, a newcomer to professional basketball, has already attracted international offers that even established stars like A'ja Wilson haven't received. Despite years of dominance, Wilson and other top WNBA players haven't seen the same lucrative deals. Clark's ability to draw this attention highlights a gap, frustrating longtime players who feel overlooked by both the league and international teams.
Saying it wasn't to the degree of Caitlin Clark being on that basketball court and people watching her, but nevertheless, rising tide lifts all boats.
For A'ja Wilson, the frustration surrounding Caitlin's move isn't just about the fact that Caitlin got a contract to play in Europe. It's about the underlying message that this move sends to the rest of the WNBA. A'ja has long believed that being the MVP of the league should mean something more than just a title. In her mind, MVP status should automatically come with the best opportunities, both in terms of contracts and recognition. Yet, what she's seeing now is that Caitlin Clark, who hasn't played nearly as long or accomplished as much in the professional realm, is getting offers that someone of A'ja's caliber should be receiving.
But a lot of people that laid the groundwork that deserve shine as well. Here's what we're going to do.
Are they playing now?
Here's what we're going to do.
Are they playing now?
We don't have Andrea.
Remember, you got
we don't have any of the women, Chanae. They'll come back on. We'll revisit this conversation gladly.
A'ja's frustration goes deeper because it brings to light the harsh reality that skill and accomplishment don't always equal financial reward in the WNBA. While Caitlin was still playing at the college level, her games were packed with fans who couldn't wait to watch her play. Meanwhile, A'ja, despite being the MVP, wasn't drawing the same crowds at the WNBA level.
There's a reason 12 million people are watching ESPN
Yeah.
for a game. If that game was on CBS, they probably would have had 25, 30 million people watching that game.
DJ Carrington's animosity towards Caitlin Clark is not a secret. The two players have a history, and Carrington's feelings of resentment came to a head during the infamous eye poke incident, which left Caitlin with a black eye. Instead of showing remorse for her actions, Carrington chose to mock Caitlin, further escalating the tension between them. This public display of disrespect wasn't just a one-time incident. It's indicative of a deeper resentment that Carrington has harbored towards Caitlin for some time.
No one would even know her name, Nylisa Smith, if she played on any of the other 11 teams. She was the second overall pick 2 or 3 years ago in the WNBA draft. Decent player, but no one would know. She played with Caitlin Clark. People know her name. She has no gratitude. She has no respect. She can't tell her girlfriend, hey, we ain't doing that.
Carrington's resentment likely stems from the fact that Caitlin has become the face of women's basketball in a way that Carrington hasn't been able to. While Carrington is a talented player in her own right, she hasn't been able to achieve the same level of fame or success as Caitlin. This has created a sense of bitterness, which was only exacerbated by the eye poke incident. For Carrington, Caitlin's rapid rise to stardom feels like a personal slight, as if her own hard work is being overlooked in favor of someone who hasn't paid the same dues.
Producing the most watched WNBA games in over 2 decades. What does that tell you? That tells you that before Caitlin Clark came along, it wasn't nearly as popular. It doesn't mean it wasn't growing in popularity over the last 2 to 3 years. But 3 years ago, WNBA was an afterthought.
What's particularly troubling about Carrington's behavior is the way she seems to relish Caitlin's misfortunes. Instead of apologizing for the injury, Carrington made light of it, mocking Caitlin in a way that suggests she enjoys seeing her suffer. This kind of behavior goes beyond professional rivalry, it's personal. Carrington's resentment and disrespect towards Caitlin are clear, and it's something that Caitlin has had to deal with throughout her time in the WNBA. Nylisa Thomas has aligned herself with DJ Carrington in their shared hostility towards Caitlin Clark. After the eye poke incident, Nylisa was seen laughing with her girlfriend about Caitlin's injury, showing a complete lack of empathy for her fellow player. This kind of behavior is shocking, especially coming from someone who should be a professional athlete. The fact that Nylisa and Carrington find amusement in Caitlin's injury speaks to a deeper issue within the league.
Everything above board. It doesn't matter what Nylisa Smith does. She can go out and mock our meal ticket, the best player in the league, the person that's making us all rich.
For Caitlin, this level of hostility is deeply concerning. The WNBA is supposed to be a place where players support one another and work together to elevate the league. But instead, she's facing open animosity from her peers. This creates a toxic environment where players are not only competing against one another, but actively working to tear each other down. Caitlin's injury wasn't just an accident on the court, it became a symbol of the hostility she faces from players like Nylisa and Carrington.
Racism has been impacting the WNBA well before this year. This is not a new thing. Sure. This is, and in that way, I do think Caitlin's being used as a pawn. Caitlin didn't bring racism to the WNBA. This has been happening.
The frustration Caitlin Clark faces doesn't stop at her interactions with other WNBA players. It extends to her own team, the Indiana Fever. In professional sports, a team is supposed to represent a safe and supportive environment where players are united in a common goal, winning games and achieving success together. It's about trust, collaboration, and solidarity, especially during challenging moments. However, for Caitlin, the reality with the Indiana Fever has been anything but supportive. Instead of rallying around Caitlin, who was clearly the victim of a physical injury, the Indiana Fever seemed indifferent, failing to publicly defend her or even acknowledge the situation in a meaningful way.
For all of those who think it's funny, could you imagine if it was the roles were reversed? If Caitlin Clark and 2 white girls made a video mocking it, what the reaction would be? I mean, let's just be honest. I don't want to go, what about Favre? But what about Favre? It's the truth.
To Caitlin, this must have felt like a betrayal. Not only were her efforts being sidelined, but her own team seemed more interested in celebrating the achievements of others, rather than protecting one of their star players. This situation raises important questions about the internal dynamics of the team. If a player like Caitlyn, who has brought so much attention and value to the WNBA, isn't getting the backing of her teammates and coaching staff, it signals a much deeper issue. A team is supposed to create a bond that supports players both on and off the court. But in this case, Caitlyn's teammates and staff have chosen to remain silent or focus on other players, which sends a clear message that her personal well-being and contributions to the team don't carry as much weight as they should. The lack of support Caitlyn experienced isn't just about a single incident. It speaks to a larger issue within the team culture. For any athlete, especially someone of Caitlyn's caliber, feeling isolated or unprotected by your own team can be emotionally draining.
All I gotta say is she's lucky this UConn team isn't healthy. And that's a true statement.
That's wrong, Molly.
Monica?
That's wrong, Molly. Molly,
like
it's
five
excuses.
top players,
It's
am I
excuses,
right?
Molly. It's excuses.
Major injury.
You would not be saying that if it wasn't UConn.
Major stars not playing.
Listen,
You gotta go.
It's her against Caitlyn Clark.
Stephen A.
Ain't no excuses.
Stephen
You
A.
got there. Don't want to hear that now.
Stephen A.
Let me tell you, if
Paige
Georgetown gets
Becker-
back in the mix, I'm going to be insufferable. I'm just telling you that now.
What?
If Paige Beckerson basically missed 2 seasons, I don't know if we'd be talking
Come on
about
now.
Caitlyn Clark the way we are now.
It can shake a player's confidence and lead to feelings of alienation, which, in turn, impacts performance and overall happiness within the league. It also forces Caitlyn to question whether the WNBA and specifically the Indiana Fever are the right places for her to continue her career. After all, why would she stay in a situation where her own team doesn't appear to have her back? This incident adds another layer to Caitlyn's decision to consider playing in Europe. Not only would she likely earn more money and face less hostility from opposing players, but she might also find herself in a more supportive and respectful team environment. European leagues are known for treating their star players with care and attention, offering them the resources and backing they need to thrive. For Caitlyn, this lack of support from the Indiana Fever could very well be the final push she needs to make the move overseas.
A lot of this noise came by people that were sitting on this network. They tried to minimize her, said, well, you giving her all this credit. What about the women that came before her? What the women came before her, what they did cannot be taken away. That ain't got nothing to do with Caitlyn Clark.
The WNBA has always struggled to compete with other major sports leagues, and losing someone like Caitlyn, who was able to draw in new fans, could be a devastating blow. The concern is that Caitlyn's move to Europe could set a precedent. If one of the league's biggest stars can leave for better opportunities abroad, what's stopping other top players from doing the same? The WNBA could find itself in a situation where its best talent is playing overseas, leaving the league with fewer star players to attract fans. Caitlyn's departure could be the tipping point that sends the WNBA into a downward spiral, undoing years of hard work and progress. This isn't just about Caitlyn.
I know when they got eliminated from the playoffs, the attendance dropped,
Right.
the ratings dropped. If the WNBA is more, it is, and I get it. Why aren't people watching?
This is about the future of the WNBA as a whole. Angel Reese, DJ Carrington, and Asia Wilson know that the WNBA can't afford to lose its biggest stars. Yet Caitlyn's departure signals that the league isn't doing enough to retain them. Caitlyn Clark's decision to sign with a European team could have long-lasting consequences for the WNBA. The league has spent years trying to build its fan base, increase viewership, and establish itself as a major player in the world of professional sports. Caitlyn was one of the key figures helping to drive that growth.
All the women that have been calling for the equality, and now that there is the chance for them to start getting paid more because the exposure's up. Because it's her, you have people like, what's her name, Jamelia Hill or what? I can't stand her. Yeah. You got these women who are coming on here and they're saying it's because she's white.
Her presence on the court brought in fans who might not have otherwise watched WNBA games, and her ability to connect with audiences made her a vital asset to the league. When Caitlyn stopped playing during the playoffs, the impact on viewership was immediate. Fans who had tuned in to see her suddenly lost interest, and the numbers reflected that. This presents a serious problem for the WNBA. The league has worked tirelessly to increase its visibility and grow its fan base, but Caitlyn's departure puts all of that progress at risk. Without one of its biggest stars, the WNBA could see a significant drop in viewership, which would not only hurt the league's bottom line, but also its long-term growth potential.
We don't want to have to deal with what everybody else has to deal with over Twitter. We're special. We're tall women who occasionally make layups. That makes us special, and we deserve a special level of treatment.
The resentment Caitlyn faces from her fellow WNBA players isn't limited to just a few individuals. Many players in the league harbor jealousy and bitterness towards Caitlyn, despite the fact that she has done more to elevate the league's profile than almost anyone else. Before Caitlyn's rise to fame, the WNBA struggled to attract fans and keep viewership numbers up. But with Caitlyn in the spotlight, the league has seen record-breaking attendance and increased media coverage. Yet, instead of celebrating Caitlyn's success and the positive impact she's had on the league, many players seem intent on tearing her down. This resentment is largely fueled by jealousy. Caitlyn's ability to draw in fans and secure lucrative contracts has made her a target for players who feel that they aren't getting the same opportunities. It's a toxic environment, and one that has made Caitlyn question whether the WNBA is the right place for her. Analysts.
Will Caitlyn Clark come into the WNBA and do what she's doing right now? Immediately? Absolutely not.
Given everything she's experienced in the WNBA, Caitlyn Clark has every reason to consider moving to Europe. In Europe, she would be paid more, face less hostility, and have the opportunity to continue building her brand without the constant negativity that surrounds her in the WNBA. Europe offers Caitlyn a fresh start, a place where she can focus on her game and continue to attract new fans, without the drama and toxicity she's currently facing. Caitlyn's move to Europe could also have significant consequences for the WNBA. Without her, the league risks losing its biggest star, and with that, its growing fan base. Caitlyn has brought more attention to the WNBA than almost anyone else, and her departure could lead to a dramatic drop in viewership. The WNBA is already struggling to compete with other major sports leagues, and losing someone like Caitlyn could send it into a downward spiral. If you enjoyed, leave a like and subscribe. More videos are on screen now.